struggling to connect the dots across all your marketing channels? Want better insight into your customer journey? Then tune in to Talk Commerce, the top e-commerce podcast for multi-channel optimization strategies. I'm Veronica Costello, your resident Brit here to inject some class into these proceedings. In this episode, I'll be joining host Brent Peterson as he converses with Laura Hanlon of Pink Leopard on driving multi-channel success. Laura will share invaluable tactics on growing email lists, maximizing on-site pop-ups, advanced email sequencing, and cross-channel retargeting, essential knowledge for any brand looking to boost sales through integrated marketing efforts across social, search, email, and more. Brent will surely pretend to understand these concepts while pitching his subpar jokes from the Free Joke Project. But I'll be here to translate any jargon and stop him from embarrassing himself too badly. Before we get to all that though, a word from our sponsor, Content Basis, showing us why humans are important in all your AI generation. Now back to hearing how Laura can optimize your multi-channel performance. I'm Veronica Costello. Thanks for listening to Talk Commerce.
Are you lost in the content creation chaos, struggling under the burden of high costs and complications? Does the thought of regular content posting make you break out in hives? We feel your pain, but don't despair. Your content hero has arrived. Introducing Content Basis, delivering unparalleled content creation and scheduling solutions crafted specifically for your audience and needs. Harnessing the power of AI, we efficiently deliver on-point content every time. Our US-based team meticulously reviews each piece, ensuring authenticity and precision. We value your unique voice and insights. You direct the final shape while we handle ideation to execution. With auto-scheduling, your content always finds its audience. And with bi-weekly check-ins, our strategies sync with your vision. At Content Basis, we're your dedicated ally in the content battlefield. From ideation to posting, we've got your content journey covered. Visit contentbasis.io and say goodbye to content chaos today. That's contentbasis.io.
My name is Brent Peterson, and I'm your host. Please remember to subscribe wherever you download your podcasts. And now, Talk Commerce. Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Laura Hanlon. Laura is the founder and co-director at Pink Leopard. Laura, go ahead, do an introduction, tell us your day-to-day role, and maybe one of your passions in life.
Oh, hi, Brent. Thank you so much. So we're an e-commerce growth acceleration agency specializing in paid social, search, and email marketing. Our zone of genius really is working with female-focused e-commerce businesses, so more in this sort of beauty, homeware, and fashion space. Being a female-founded business myself, and also our team are predominantly female, it's just where our kind of expertise lie. My day-to-day role, I used to be a complete Facebook ad buying nerd, but I've sort of taken a bit of a step back now as the co-director, so I'm more sort of head up the team, focusing on the media buying team that we're always driving the best results for our clients and pushing forward with innovations. My passions are my biggest passion sounds cheesy, but it's probably my 2-year-old toddler. I don't really have time for much else at the moment, but I love going out and exploring new places, new coffee shops, places to eat, and also kind of going traveling with her too.
That's great. Thank you. And I know that we did talk in the green room that you volunteered to be on the Free Joke Project, or maybe voluntold is a better word. Anyways, I'm going to tell you a joke, and all you have to do is, will this joke stand up to the 2-year-old, or do you think that we should just throw it out the window, or give it to the Peaky Blinders? Anyways, here we go. I'm going to tell you a joke. How many teenagers does it take to change a light bulb? 1, because they think the world revolves around them.
It's a good
Yeah,
one.
that's good. That'll be good for you in about 12 years.
Yeah. I think
You'll
you can. I
probably
think.
you'll
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I was going to say, I think I'm a big fan of dad jokes, and I think you could definitely charge for that one.
In the ever-evolving retail landscape, one platform is changing the game, ushering in a retail renaissance that puts relationships at the forefront. Welcome to Endear. Endear is a CRM built for omni-channel brands, empowering them with the consumer data to deliver a personalized, efficient customer experience that drives sales and retention. Imagine a tool that intuitively understands your customers' needs, giving your brand a remarkable edge. Don't believe us? Geronimo from Rebag says, I've used every CRM from Salesforce down, and Endear is the best one I've found for us. With Endear, your team isn't just selling products and crafting stories that resonate, nurturing connections that last. It's not just a CRM. It's a tool that empowers your sales associates to make personalized connections, bridging brands and customers like never before. Ready to redefine retail clienteling with a platform trusted by hundreds of omni-channel brands around the globe? Request your Endear demo today and enter a future of enriched connections and unparalleled customer loyalty.
All right, thank you. Yes, I if I would have known you had a 2-year-old and your English, I would have been much more segmented in my joke telling, which leads us right into email subscriptions. But before we do that, I do want to talk about, if you don't mind, could we talk a little bit about diversity in the entrepreneurship space?
Sure.
I've had this podcast for 2 years, and at one point somebody somebody said, "Hey, you only have white males on your podcast. What's the deal with that?" And I think if you just, I just want to kind of open up that conversation about diversity in our tech space in general.
Yeah, sure. More than happy to go into this topic. I almost feel like sometimes we're the other way. I feel like we've grown a real female predominant team. So sometimes I feel like we're kind of just sort of niching in that area. But yeah, it is interesting. I really we kind of really started to focus on female founded businesses. I guess, yeah, just being a female founder myself, but also there's just so much untapped opportunity in this kind of world, and yeah, I think it's really important. So I appreciate you having me on your show as a female entrepreneur.
Yeah, and so I think for me, I got into this habit of just taking on guests who'd be given to me from a service who. And it seemed like all I was getting was a certain demographic. And I feel as though you have to speak up and say something, or you get kind of caught in a rut. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to go down too much on a rabbit hole, but I'm in a community in Minnesota where we are predominantly white, and in my entrepreneur community, it seems like it's predominantly white males. Do you feel as it's harder for a woman to break into some of those, I don't know, sort of like glass ceiling or places where it's it seems to be like in the U.S. they call it the old guys club or something like that, where that you kind of have to break in?
Yeah, I still think in the UK in general it still very much is the kind of white male club as well. I think, is it hard to break in? I suppose as luckily I guess now there's a lot more focus, isn't it, on equality. I was actually speaking on a panel not too long ago about female about equity in general, but I don't think. I think it's more kind of, especially in the UK and in this world, I do feel quite privileged now to be a female entrepreneur and a female founder, because like I said, I feel that is different, and more business owners are starting to appreciate that and think it's quite different. So it's almost like a bit of a niche and a bit of a superpower of ours. I do think it's still a struggle for people who are sort of employees in the industry getting to the higher levels of the bigger agencies, potentially not being a white male. But again, I kind of was never in the agency world before I started the business, so I haven't had that experience. But as I say, I do think it's a real privilege, and working with other female founded business owners, which is my space. We still work with a lot of male business owners in the e-commerce space, and there's never been any discrimination there that I found. So yeah, luckily people are definitely talking about it more, and it's almost more of a sort of trendy topic, I think, than it ever was.
Yeah, and I don't want to say there's discrimination, but there is a bias, let's say, that I feel it needs to be overcome, and I'm a proponent of at least talking about it. And I'm on a board for Entrepreneurs Organization here in Minnesota, and we have a diversity and inclusion committee. And the goal of that committee is to make itself irrelevant, right? Because at some point you don't need to be diverse. And realistically, the world is pretty diverse. About half are female and half are male, and that's pretty diverse.
Yeah.
And so I think that at least just talking about it, and I apologize again for kind of throwing the topic out there, because I know we're going to talk about marketing today, but I think it's an important topic. And you had, in the very beginning, you said that in the beginning you had said that one of your targets is women entrepreneurs and women-led businesses, and I think it's important to at least give a voice to everybody. So, anyways, let's move on to marketing. Tell us a little bit about your approach to multi-channel, and how Pink Leopard kind of helps along that.
Yeah, so we used to be, as an agency, just purely Facebook advertising, sort of when we started out about 8 years ago. And that was, as I said, I was the Facebook nerd, and we really saw that incredible results from just an e-commerce store running some Facebook ads, and really being able to grow and scale their business. But I think more and more so in the last sort of 12 months, there's been a real shift to moving to a multi-channel approach, and it's so vital now. We see results night and day when our clients are working across multiple channels. So across socials, they might have Facebook and TikTok ads running, they've got organic social, Google ads, and email marketing, because they obviously play a number of different roles within the e-com and the customer buying journey. And so really we pivoted about 2 years ago into not just being Facebook, but Google and email marketing too, and like TikTok and Pinterest, but obviously they fall under the social media banner. So it's really, really powerful. And I think it's, e-com clients in particular really need to make sure that they have a multi-channel approach to marketing. We still do see so many clients that are just all of their eggs in one basket, just focusing on Facebook ads or just Google ads. So, yeah.
And how do you help them measure that? I think that's one of the most important parts, to help your client understand that if you are focused just on Facebook, that you have this very slim vertical that you're looking at. Do you help them understand by metrics that, hey, look, we should be looking at Google, we should be looking at TikTok, things like that?
Yeah, definitely. We often tend to, especially if it's a new client who's just purely focusing on, say, Facebook ads, then we would start working with them with one service, and then slowly kind of introduce, but bringing in Google ads as long as it's relevant for them and we feel like it's going to generate the results for them. Obviously product dependent. And then we'll also test TikTok ads and bring in email marketing too. So it is important to not sort of, unless they're already running a lot of the things together, not throwing everything all in at once, so we can actually see the increase and the scale, because it is like with marketing, it's so difficult to attribute in silos. So it's looking at the overall growth. Obviously there are ways and means to track better, but it's never going to be perfect. So I'm a real advocate of sort of making sure that we can see the impact of each channel by introducing them, sort of bit by bit, and using attribution tools and softwares such as Triple Whale to really get into the crux of what's actually driving the returns. But they all work in harmony, so it's difficult, as I say, to look at them just per channel.
Is there certain verticals that you feel work better for each of those different platforms? Like LinkedIn would be good for B2B, and Facebook is good for B2C, or even some vertical within that B2C field?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes it depends on so really unique products. With Facebook ads, I find that for e-commerce, there's more. It's not vertical necessarily, but it's more about the other sort of metrics such as average order values and things like that. If you've got a really, really low average order value for Facebook ads, it won't not work, but it won't generate the returns that a lot of clients want to see with direct return on ad spend. But obviously it's a place where people, for pretty things and capturing people's attention, so often fashion, homeware, beauty, they work really, really well on Facebook ads. And with Google ads, it's a lot of these different niches work, but in the fashion space we have to be a bit more cautious, because if it's a client of ours a new client, for example, selling rainproof jackets, no matter how cool they are, you're competing against so many other, and it's just another sort of rainproof jacket or a black jacket. So we really have to dig a bit deeper to see, who would be competing against the huge retailers, all of the department stores trying to also get in front of customers. So it depends. It depends on the product, and then email marketing has got to be for literally every e-commerce store, just because it provides a different service in terms of the retention piece, and also making sure that you're retargeting the customers that come through your funnel if they haven't purchased straight away.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about email, and I would like to kind of key in on that retargeting. When you say retargeting, are you referring to somebody coming in through like a Facebook ad, then retargeting them to another platform, or moving them to an email list? Or explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I mean, if somebody comes through a Facebook ad onto the website and they add something to their cart, but they don't check out, obviously you can retarget them with Facebook ads and Google ads, but what more of a powerful way to retarget them than being in an email automated flow? And sometimes we don't necessarily even use retargeting ads. Since iOS came in and took the Facebook world by storm, we often find that retargeting element is quite difficult within Facebook ads, and it doesn't work as well as it used to. But the automated email flows that we can generate in Klaviyo works incredibly well. So yeah, that's what I kind of mean by the email retargeting.
Yeah, and I think that once you have that email address, the hard part is getting the email address, right?
Yeah.
If they don't bother to make an account or even log in to the checkout, you don't actually know from a Facebook that it's that person, unless there's a cookie written, right? Or you kind of have an idea who they are then. But that's so important that I think people or merchants often miss out on the fact that collecting that email and at least knowing who they are, and then you can associate that email the next time around on that retargeting. Do you have some tips or some ideas around how to get merchants to get people to build that subscription list?
Yeah, definitely. So I think for all stores in general, making sure that you have a pop-up on your website for people, for just general traffic that comes onto your website, with just enabling them and making it really clear that they need to put their details in, their email address in, and if with a bit more incentivization, put in their phone number for SMS marketing. But making sure that you have that pop-up crystal clear, easy to put their details in, and often with an incentive. So 10%, 15% off, works incredibly well, but it also has to be the right offer for your brand. I've seen lots of other things like sort of gamification, quizzes, sometimes no discount, a free product offer, all work really well. So that's an absolute must. But we also are really finding great success with running targeted Facebook ads in particular, to either a landing page that's specifically just there to capture email addresses for the email list, or to the website where they can put their details into the pop-up, but also using the Facebook kind of native lead form ads to build the list. So we provide the offer within Facebook, build the list, and then we can automate that through Zapier into their email account, such as Klaviyo, and have the welcome flow automate off the back of that. And that's working really well. We still run e-commerce ads to drive purchases, but this is something that's just much cheaper because it's sort of less intrusive than trying to get people to buy straight away. It's also giving them, an incentive, and something that works really well for one of our, for a few of our fashion clients who have sort of big product drops. We build the suspense with, the spring summer products coming, to put their details in to be the first to know because pieces do sell out or there's a discount. And then we have really great email campaigns that fall as soon as that product drops, and then that's what we're finding works really well with email and Facebook combined.
I've heard Klaviyo more and more lately. Do you recommend that platform in general compared to, say, HubSpot or something like that, or even MailChimp as the free one or paid version? Is there a reason why a lot of merchants seem to be going on Klaviyo?
For e-commerce, definitely Klaviyo. I mean, for our Pink Leopard, for our own emails to other e-commerce businesses, I mean, it's just a really simple kind of newsletter style email that we send. So I use MailChimp, but for all of our e-commerce clients we use Klaviyo, and that's just because of all the all the bells and whistles really that come with it. And we've transferred clients over from other softwares to Klaviyo, and even just moving them over because of their focus on deliverability and all the sort of back end software that they have. We see an increase in revenue just from moving them over. And then there's just so many different things you can do with segmenting, automation, and also like all of the reporting and the analytics are just kind of really second to none in Klaviyo.
Yeah, and I don't work for Klaviyo. I was just interested, so.
Yeah, nor do I, but I feel like I should now.
Right, yeah, it's a very good plug. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think segmenting, segmenting I think is one of the things that overlook, but what are some of the other things that merchants tend to overlook in that, not multi-channel even, but even in email subscriptions, trying to get people to get on that list and getting them on the list and then effectively sending to them?
Yeah, so I think getting them on the list in the first place, I don't think there's enough emphasis. I think a lot of businesses that we speak to just sort of hope that they're going to land on their list. So they either don't have the pop-ups in place, as I sort of described earlier, or they don't have a specific campaigns running to generate email signups, or they don't actively sort of have like competitions or work with influencers to build their email list. They're all things that work amazingly well. It's just sort of hoping by chance that their list will grow. And of course it will grow if you're spending a lot of money on paid ads. But organically, your list isn't going to grow if you're not trying to actively do so. We also see a lot of with email flows, either email flows not being set up properly, or they're not set up at all, or the key email flows such as your welcome flow, your cart abandonment, and your browser abandonment flows aren't set up, and they're huge for driving revenue. So if if you don't have those in place, then you're really missing out on a lot of money there that potentially could be coming through from that sort of retargeting aspect. And then continuing to nurture those leads the prospects that you have coming through on a weekly or fortnightly basis. Sometimes we just see average flows set up and then they just sort of blast here and there just when it's promotional activity every 2 months to their list, and they're not doing anything to like nurture and build and talk about the brand and just get that connection with their customer. So that's something that we're really hot on, not just sell, but really using it as a way to connect and build that relationship, and ultimately that's where the sales then come from.
I've heard a lot of marketing professionals say that sometimes a coupon can add friction to the checkout process. And especially around pop-ups, I've had it where you're in the checkout, then you decide, and then because maybe you see some shiny object, you leave the checkout for a minute, and as soon as you leave, there's a exit pop-up that comes up and says, hey, would you like 15% off? And suddenly that your cart, who they were going to check out, has turned into a coupon. And then sometimes people think, oh, well, because they see the coupon box, they're like, oh, I should be looking for the coupon. They leave and they go and start searching around. Number one, do you think coupons sometimes are a bad idea? And number two, is it always a good idea to auto-apply a coupon on a campaign that you're trying to get people to buy something?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to sort of do it. You can, and I totally get that, because when I go into sometimes a checkout, I do all the things that I have taught myself to do for our clients' prospects, and I'm there a prospect myself, so I'm putting my detail in, I'm leaving it for 30 minutes to see if something will pop up. But I guess it really again comes down to each brand and what their strategy is. There's still a lot of I tend to look at brands that I sort of look up to and respect and buy from and think they've got incredible marketing, and I think it's okay to offer that percentage off, but sometimes it's how you do it, and maybe not having the pop-up appear immediately, or not as you're about to buy. I think there's some terribly placed pop-ups and terrible timings that you lose out on that discount. You lose out on a partial amount of the sale because you've got a pop-up as soon as someone was about to buy. That's happened to me before, but I think we kind of do expect it now. So I think the best way is to offer that incentive on your first time purchase, to not necessarily have the pop-up absolutely immediately, waiting for someone to browse, not having the pop-up for repeat buyers as well. That's making sure that there's that exclusion, which you can do in Klaviyo. But yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. There's definitely arguments for having discounts and against it, but I am a firm believer in using it, or at least some form of incentive to grow the email list. And again, if you're a brand and you've got a product that people want, then sometimes I look for the discount. There's no discount, but I want that product so badly that I'm going to buy it anyway. So Google like voucher codes, Googling all sorts to see if I can find an incentive, and then I just give up and buy it.
Right. You mentioned about that sort of some of those best practices in the cart. I've found that some really larger companies or larger D2C, that sometimes their practices are not as good as a smaller merchant who may be going with somebody like Pink Leopard. And I'm wondering if there's like this tip over from you go with a marketing agency to you're big enough to have an internal team, and then that internal team loses some focus or some aspects of what the general market is doing. Like, I think as an agency, Pink Leopard has the advantage of working with multiple clients who are seeing multiple facets of things coming in, where if you're focused only on your own product and your own team, which is a great way to, if you have the resources to do that. But do you feel as though sometimes you have a leg ahead of even the really big companies and giving your clients better service because of that?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for allowing me to plug. I'm just joking. But yeah, I do think I do think, because we are a boutique agency, but we have specialists within every area. And sometimes I think, speaking to a billion pound revenue company not too long ago, and they've got a really small marketing team and somebody who's just sort of doing the Google, the Facebook, they're doing the emails, and that there's no specialism in there. And so I think that's where the difference lies with working certainly with a boutique agency, because when I used to run the Facebook ads, I still worked with a copywriter, I still worked with a creative, a graphic designer, I was more the strategist. So I think, within marketing, everybody thinks you're a marketer, so you can do a bit of everything. And that's where I think the danger is of hiring an in-house team. You can just sort of get a small team to do a bit of everything. Whereas we have, as I say, individual people who are really focused on email analytics. If that's their job, that's all they're focusing on. And like you say, working across different brands in the same verticals as they are, just making sure that we're always up to date with the latest innovations. And I guess sometimes if you're in-house, you maybe aren't, across different brands, and also just mixing with other agencies. We've got a tight-knit network of different agencies that we all share different kind of collaborative ideas and across different brands that we work with. So that's really powerful. Yeah.
I'm thinking of a use case, and I bought some sports headphones from a fairly large manufacturer, and they only have 5 or 6 products. And I bought the headphones, and then suddenly they asked me to be on their email list, and I signed up for my SMS. Suddenly I was getting an email and a SMS message every week for the headphones that I just bought, or something around that. I think also sometimes maybe teams get overzealous on some new technology, and they really lean into it without thinking of the consequences they're going to do. Because obviously I excluded myself completely from that list. And if they came out with a new product that's not the same thing as a headphone, I'm going to miss out, because they kept just relentlessly selling me or sending me emails on something that I have.
Yeah, that's annoying. I guess sometimes, like you say, being in-house as well kind of overlooks that, and you're just you hear of a tactic that works, and that's the difficulty with marketing. It's like you must send an email every single week or twice a week to the same customer base, and then that's what they do, and there's no kind of strategic thinking or thinking outside of the box. Whereas working collaboratively, we have to make sure everything's right to make sure that we're staying with the partner, the business that we're working with, and we often work with the either marketing director or sometimes the founder themselves. So yeah, it's obviously in our real very best interest to make sure that the strategy is on point, and we'll be told if it's not, if there's a case like that. But yeah, that is so frustrating. It's a real bugbear of mine, and just people also blasting to the whole database all the time with no personalization. It just puts you off, and like you say, you're gone.
Yeah, and I only bring up that illustration because as a merchant, you often think you look to the really big brands to be the experts about that. They're an expert in their own market, right? But oftentimes they don't always have the best expert practices around marketing. And I think that you could look at merchants even as 3 different levels. Somebody who's small enough who wants to just or has to do everything on their own. Then there's the level that reaches out to an agency and they ask for that help, and they look for the expertise of that agency. And then you get into the really big brands that just are just going to do it on their own. And then maybe they'll go external for those reasons that we talked about earlier, to get a different perspective on things. But from a merchant standpoint, everybody's in a different place, and I think that the more you can do to help and measure and be on top of things, the better you're going to be as a brand, right? Yeah,
absolutely.
So we have a few minutes left. If you had a nugget that you could give a merchant right now on on how to get a handle on or even assess their multi-channel journey, what would that be?
Oh, I would definitely, I think, what would it be? I think definitely trying to look at your you need to, as I say, really look at the results from each channel individually to see and just make sure that you completely understand like all of those KPIs as to what success looks like for each channel, like what's good, what return on ad spend is good for each channel, to see if it's actually profitable for you and working for you, but not focusing so much on just, that's another thing that we see a lot of businesses doing, is just focusing so much on those silos and not looking at then something like either looking at Google Analytics or Triple Whale, just having that one other source of truth that you can look at for an entire picture to make sure that all of those areas are working in harmony, doing the job that they're supposed to, and providing the returns that you need.
All right, last question. I know I said I had the last question, but I have one more question. As a merchant, as a platform, as an agency, are you seeing a dominant platforms that merchants are on or want to go to in terms of, hey, I want to host my e-commerce store on X or Y or Z or whatever? And I probably already know the answer, but I'm interested to know the number one, which one is the really big with the big Goliath out there, and is there an up and comer you feel is there an up and comer for e-commerce, and is there one that you just see everybody moving away from?
Do you mean in terms of the webs, as in like Shopify kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that. It's kind of like an unwritten, I know. Well, yeah, I mean, Shopify is it's huge. I think I see a lot of clients moving towards that, but I suppose, well, a lot of clients already on Shopify. An up and comer, I think I can't necessarily say that anyone stands out as an up and coming platform, but we do see bigger clients wanting to move away, some moving to their own web developed hosting site, because that they can just have more functionality and do things that they don't want to be fit inside a box like Shopify. So yeah, but Shopify is like I've just got this big green Shopify branding in my head now.
Right, sorry about that. Yeah, so like they're on Shopify, and then they decide they want to be a little more custom, so they'd go to something like Shopware or Magento or something like that, or Adobe Commerce.
Yeah, exactly those. Which I understand the logic of both. I mean, we don't do web development, so it's not something that I'm hugely familiar with and kind of sort of in that heavily embedded in that space. But it's just that's what most of our clients are on or move towards.
And do you care what platform they're on? Does it matter to you as a marketer?
I think I do like it when they're on Shopify, because it feels easier as a marketer to integrate, to set up their pixels and Cappy. And we've got a developer who we work with, an external developer, and that's kind of his preferred platform or his knowledge anyway. And then just integrating with Klaviyo and all the other, Triple Whale is only Shopify. So that's kind of, some of the only real reasons that we feel relieved if they're on Shopify.
Right. All right. So so Laura, as we close out the podcast, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything you'd like to plug. What would you like to plug today?
Okay, great. Well, I guess we're always happy to do, whenever we work with a new prospect, we do a complete audit of everything that you're currently doing, to see if we can see where the opportunities are and if there's room for improvement. So we're always happy to audit anybody's social search or email accounts. And you can also, if anything has resonated with you, have any questions for me, you can always reach out to me on, our website is www.pinkleopard.co.uk. I'm Laura Hanlon, so you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to chat or answer any questions.
Great, and I will make sure I put all those in the show notes. And you work with people that spell like flavor correctly and like colors, or do you only work with people that O-U-R on the end of those type of words?
Any spelling. We love our partners across the pond as well.
We have to get ourselves organized right now for our schedule. Anyways, sorry, I'll stop. Laura, thank you so much for being here. I know we planned on 20 minutes and we've already gone to 35, so I appreciate you spending a little extra time. I will put all those in the show notes, and I thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you for making it to the end of this episode of Talk Commerce. Please rate this episode wherever you download your podcasts. We are actively looking for people to participate in the Free Joke Project. Go to talk-commerce.com and sign up for your free spot on the Free Joke Project. If you are a business, I will do a 30-second elevator pitch in the spot to help promote your business. That's talk-commerce.com. High quality